Bow, 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 bow. Welcome to another episode of One for the Table. I am your host, Kimchi, and that's
I'm
John. I'm talking over him. I don't know why.
You normally give me a pause so I can say my name, and normally I'd take too long, and now you're not letting me do it at all.
I was trying to give like high energy, and you're like, so yeah, you give.
Yeah.
So,
This
there goes my energy.
I'm sorry to
Energy
be
vampire.
such a downer for you. That's just not my vibe.
High energy.
Mhm. Any kind of energy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get older, folks. You heard it
Yeah.
here first.
Happy birthday, Kim.
Oh my God. You know what?
Yeah.
You're starting a war right now.
Am I?
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do when it's your birthday week?
What are you going to do?
April 5th.
Oh. So you remembered it this time?
Oh, I've known. I will make sure
Uh-huh.
that you are reminded
Girl, you're going to be so aggressive.
that it's your birthday.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine. If you send me a fucking like singing telegram or something like that, I will be so mad.
Well, just you wait. It's going to be a surprise. You might not like it, but it'll be a surprise.
Well, my ultimate nightmare, I've only ever had to do it once in my life.
Mhm.
But you know when you go to like those chain restaurants, like a Red Robin or whatnot,
Oh, and then all the servers like sing you a happy birthday.
they sing you the corporate happy birthday song because the real happy birthday song actually is like copywritten or something.
Copyrighted. Yeah.
And so they sing you this like this corporate happy birthday thing, and they make you stand up on the chairs.
Oh, but not only that, as a server, when it's someone's birthday, you have to go gather all the other servers. Like in between, like all the other shit that they have to do, you know, like getting
Mhm.
people like more ranch and like plating whatever.
Yeah.
You have to find all the other servers and be like, okay, we got a birthday. Make sure they have enough time. And then while the table next to them is asking, excuse me, can we get more ranch dressing? You're singing happy birthday.
I would have to do like a line beforehand.
And a lot of like these like chain restaurant, like the people that eat there are so fucking impatient for no reason.
Of course
Like
they
I've literally
are.
seen someone like ask a server that was singing happy birthday like for something, and I'm like, just wait like few seconds. They're gonna be done singing happy birthday in a few.
Okay, I can't remember the last time I've been to an Applebee's or like any kind of chain restaurant. Not because I feel like I'm too good for it. It's like if I'm going to eat that stuff, I'd rather just eat like fast food and go all the way. But like, what do people expect when they go there? Because the people that work there are like grossly underpaid. And maybe it's just safety. Maybe it's just comfort, right?
But also you have to keep in mind, you know, for like a lot of people, they don't go out to restaurants often, maybe, you know, and maybe going out to the chain restaurant is like a special occasion for them,
Yeah.
you know, and they
Mhm.
save up money, and then they want it to be a special experience.
Mm. That makes sense.
You know, I don't know. I just assume like with families, you just can't assume like their financial situation.
I mean,
and
if it's probably like a super safe place to bring kids.
for sure, you know, they have like a kids menu, and you know they're gonna have like high chairs,
Yeah.
and then there's gonna be chicken tenders if you have like a picky kid.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. I don't have kids and I don't live in the suburbs, so I don't have access or see any of that stuff very often. So I just don't think about it. But I do wonder, like, you know, why pick that place over like another local restaurant that might be close by? But they don't have options like that out there. Not in Michigan
No.
anyway. Not unless you want to go like ethnic.
A lot of small towns too. There might be like a local neighborhood restaurant, but no, like Chili's, you can get a meal for 2 people for $20. You know,
Yeah. And
it's essentially like fast food that's served like tableside.
I do remember when I was in college, I used to like really like Red Robin burgers.
I've never had Red Robin, but I know their thing is like unlimited fries.
What?
Unlimited fries?
That was not a thing when I was in college because I would have absolutely taken advantage of that.
I think it's always been a thing. You just didn't know about it.
Maybe. They had this like
I know that.
barbecue burger with like fried onions in there. And I thought that was like
Mhm.
the best thing ever. I guess so college students would be going there too.
I only know about Red Robin because one of my best friends in college was actually a server at Red Robin during her college years.
Actually, I think I was friends with a server at Red Robin too. I think that's where we're going.
But in Chicago, when I was going to college, where I went for like burgers was this place called Bar Louie, which is a chain as well.
I've heard of that. I thought that was a fancier place.
It's not fancy. And Tuesdays, they have $1 burger.
Oh, yep.
But it's just like a plain burger, and then every topping costs money, which like rightfully so. And also you have to order, I think, like 2 drinks minimum or something like that. Which then you order like 2 Cokes or whatever. And even then, it only ends up being like a burger meal at a restaurant for like less than $10.
The best happy hour burger in Detroit was at, oh my gosh, Roast, a restaurant that's now closed called Roast. It was a $3 perfectly delicious cheeseburger with a side of beef fat fries. And oftentimes I would get that with, I think that might have been like chicken gizzards on polenta, and that was like $3 as well. And like this was like early on in the days in Detroit, and like they had like $3 wines, and you could like have a decent like wine burger, like happy hour meal for like within $10.
See, I feel like a little bit like deprived because growing up in Chicago, basically I was in Chicago from like when I was like 18 to like 32 or something, you know. And happy hour is actually illegal in Chicago because it promotes like drinking and driving supposedly.
Really?
So yeah,
Well, it does, but
like you'll never
that's,
find like happy hour specials in Chicago.
that's wild.
So you know, I would hear about like other places, you know, that do happy hours, but I never got to experience it myself.
Was like bottomless brunch illegal in Chicago too?
No, but I mean, I guess we
Like
pick our
bottomless
battles.
mimosas?
I mean, I
Like
don't make the law here.
No, that's
you know?
true. It just seems like if you're going to ban one, you should ban the other, but I'm glad they don't.
Yeah, I mean, Prohibition area Chicago. That was the thing.
You had like a bunch of topics that you wanted to cover today, or a topic. It was overrated, underrated. Right?
Overrated restaurant items. Yeah.
Yeah. But before we get to that, what was the most that you miss about me now that like we're not hanging out all the time?
Waking up to your beautiful smile every morning.
Not the gag. Okay, you can just say you miss my omelets and that's fine.
No, I miss your company, your omelets.
Well, I miss the boba.
Oh my god. Do you miss boba more than you miss me?
Well, I don't know. Is it like Yifeng fruit tea boba, Sunright boba?
Oh my god.
Sunright's really good boba.
Wow. So there are bobas that rank higher than me on your list.
I mean, no.
Nice political answer. But speaking of Yifang and all that, so I'm gonna be going on Work the World tour soon. I leave this Sunday.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to Asia, Australia. And in Asia, we're going to Japan, Singapore, Philippines, and
very cool.
Taiwan.
And
you know what that means?
Oh my god, I'm so jealous.
I'm going to get all the boba in the world, and I'm going to get all the black pepper bun, which I feel like we talk about every week in this podcast.
We do. Oh my gosh, we do. Does that mean we'll be doing podcasts while you're touring? Or am I going to have to find a co-host?
Oh my god, you're already trying to replace me already?
No.
But I guess that would be a way to keep it fresh in you. And then what? You get a co-host and like the podcast goes viral and it's like a roaring success. And be like, sorry, Kim, it's about the metrics and what the fans want to hear. We have decided to replace you with someone better and prettier.
Watch it be Monet. watch her take on another podcast.
No, Monet's got like 20 podcasts happening.
She really does.
She really does. At some point, she even had like a vegan podcast, and that bitch is not a vegan. So like,
she is the Marvel Cinematic Universe of Dragon podcasts.
Mm-hmm. It's like, is there a topic? Monet probably has a podcast on it. Like, if you weren't doing a food podcast, like, what other podcast do you think you would do?
That would be really hard. I'm not really sure I could do anything else because I'm really bad at preparing.
Yeah.
Because, like, for us, we're just like here and we just like, maybe we have a topic that we want to talk about, but most of the times we're just chilling and we're just like hanging out.
No. Our podcasts are intricately designed, and we have discussions and meetings on the topics that we are going to present to our listeners.
Yes, we even have like a Discord and a Notion. I don't know what a Notion is, but my producer has a Notion. My YouTube producer has a Notion thing. I don't know how to use it. It's got AI in it. I don't know.
No.
But yeah, that's what we do. We're so prepared. But no, we just both happen to know a lot about food and love food so much that it's just so easy for us to just really talk about. And then also we like do our little depression spirals every like month or so. We talk about that. But
yeah, let's not try to do that today.
Could you? No, we're not going to try to do that today. But there's really nothing else that I can really talk about that I feel like I can just like hop on in and just talk. I'd have to do research and reading and stuff like that, and I just don't have the time for that. What about you? I mean, would it be drag?
No.
Would you want to talk about it?
Talking about drag is so tired. And like, I mean that isn't like, I feel like you can only talk so much about drag, and then eventually you'd have to talk about like other drag queens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just don't like talking with other people.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I went through like my bitchy, gossipy gay phase, you know, like in my 20s, and now like I don't really care what anybody else is doing. I don't like I don't like I'm not worried about what anybody else is doing. Like I just want to do me. And then also like I'm not a big fan of like podcasts where like they make content off of talking about other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just feel. I mean, like, if it works for them, there's an audience there. Like, great. You know, but just personally, like, I don't really enjoy it. Like, I don't want to stay here for like an hour and then talk about like other people's drag and what they could have done better. You know what I mean? Like, if you're having fun doing it, like, you do it. You know.
I would love to talk about their food.
Oh well, from my experience, most drag queens, I feel like because like this is like a profession that is so vanity focused, they all have a very particular relationship with food. You know, they're either like super picky or they eat like they're like 2 years old, where you know, like they go out like clubbing and like drinking every night, and then they eat like pizza or fast food, and then like sleep all day the next day, wake up hungover, and repeat.
See, when I was working at the nightclubs around here, all the people, the drag queens that were regulars or that were in our bar family, they were all cooks, because they were kind of like, they weren't just like drag queens, they were also like drag mothers, and they were also like bar moms and stuff like that. And they were all really good at throwing down in the kitchen. Some of them were making like cakes in their free time and whatnot. And so my experience before like hanging out with like non-local queens was that drag queens had a really strong connection to food, because a lot of them had a very strong, like, they played a mother figure in like more than one way.
Oh, don't get me wrong, there are queens that like I do enjoy like going out to eat with, and hanging out. Like Monet's great. Akori is great. Akori actually has like a pretty good like taste in food.
Yeah.
And she also really likes seafood and sushi and things like that.
Oh. There's a Pokemon that just came out, I saw, that is just an actual salmon sashimi.
There's also that one character, Kirimi, which is like salmon fillet.
Oh, I think that might be my new favorite Pokemon. Appleton has been my favorite for a long time because it's just a pie that's like doing its best. But I need to know more about this salmon sashimi Pokemon.
What is the salmon sashimi Pokemon called?
It is called, or I think it's actually a nigiri. Hold on. Tatsugiri.
Uh,
It's a small dragon Pokemon that comes in three forms, two
oh,
eyes,
that's
like total
Pokemon.
fit.
Yeah.
Tatsugi, look at
It's
him.
not.
It's a little fit.
It's like a little
I mean,
shrimpy.
it's a little okay. So it's a little
Mhm.
shrimpy. It's not a salmon
Okay,
guy,
but
but it's
also
still.
he's actually like OP.
What do you mean he's OP?
Like he can be really strong. So how he works
Oh,
is
really?
like in the game,
Yeah.
um he goes into like a mouth of like this like whale Pokemon.
Uh huh.
And then they become really strong together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What version of Pokemon is this from?
The latest one. Yeah, so you combine Tatsugiri and Dondozo,
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
and Tatsugiri goes inside of like the mouth of like a Dondozo, and they can do like a really powerful combo.
Huh. Oh, this isn't Pokemon Scarlet?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I haven't played that one.
Yeah, so if you do like a double battle together,
Hmm.
and if they're in the field at the same time, you can like combine them together.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
At this point, like I'm not really playing Pokemon, but I'm just trying to keep up with the lore as much as possible, just
Mhm.
based off of my own love and nostalgia. But I don't find the games to be any fun anymore for me.
Wow. Well, the thing with games is
Yeah.
like it's just very repetitive. So
Yeah.
there's going to be
I
new.
don't like grinding.
Well, in the new game, they made it so like the grinding is so much easier. There's like
Yeah.
you just like advance the story like as it is, and then it just grinds like automatically. I don't know. They
Oh,
eliminated
nice.
like the endless amount of grinding like the first few ones. Like I
Well,
remember
that's
in the
good
like
because I feel
Pokemon
like that just ruined it for me.
like red or blue, like to take like a Metapod to Butterfree, you want to put like Metapod
Oh
in your
my God.
first like team first, and then like enter a battle,
Forever.
and then you like switch to another Pokemon, and that way like Metapod can share the experience with that Pokemon, and you have to do it so many times until it reaches enough level. I mean, it
Yep.
was too
And that was
cumbersome.
all good and fine when you're like 8 years old or 5 years old or whatever, not and like you didn't have to worry about freaking utility bills
Mm-hmm.
and shit. But now that like there's just like too much that I need to be doing over the course of the day that I can't like just spend my time grinding in a video game. I need to just like enjoy this for
Mm-hmm.
what it is. Which I love the Zelda game. That one's not exactly like that's taking forever too. But are you gonna play the Baldur's Gate 3?
I've never
Are you
played one or
into
two.
RPGs like that? Oh,
I don't like a lot of like Western RPGs because the characters are fucking ugly. No, it's true. Like when you play like JRPG, like the characters are beautiful and pretty, and there's like sparkle when they use magic. In Western RPGs, I think it's because like it's more
it's
aimed at these like macho
gritty.
like straight men or something. But all the characters are fucking ugly as hell, and
It's
and I do not want to play an ugly game full of ugly characters. Like the monsters are ugly, like the townspeople are ugly. The town is like brown and sandy.
it's it is very like I don't know. It's not even gritty. It's like muddy. It's like barely into it's like the Dark Ages type vibe that it
Mm-hmm.
has to all of them. I enjoy it because of the darker, I guess, themes and the grittiness of it. Um, I do think that it is like I do agree with you. But I kind of like, and that's the best part about it is they're all normally first person anyway, so you don't have to look at yourself.
Even then, I don't know. If I'm gonna play a game, like it's gonna be like escapism, and I want it to be a
Yeah,
beautiful world. And I don't care if like the graphic is like really good and crisp. Like I care more about like the overall aesthetic of like is it like
and the art direction.
yeah. But
I get it.
I don't know, the Western like they focus so much on like the realism to the point where I don't know. It's just like I just personally don't enjoy it. But
Mm.
if that's your thing, you do you. Like do whatever makes you
I'm
happy.
very excited for Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm.
I hear it's going to actually come out on Mac, so I'll just wait till that
Okay.
releases and I'll play that. Yeah.
I've been wanting to play Final Fantasy 16, but I know that's one of the things. If I start, like, I'm gonna want to like play to the end, and
Yeah.
since I leave for tour soon, I'm gonna wait till after the tour to play that one.
That's smart. Has Final Fantasy, like, I know 7,
Mm-hmm.
the remake of 7 that's the first part of it. Have any of the other parts come out yet?
Oh, I think second part is coming out soon this year. I think.
It's really interesting that they're choosing it to do it this way.
It's just more way for them to get more money out of it, you know?
True. It's true.
I've really enjoyed the Final Fantasy VII remake a lot. Final Fantasy VII like was like my favorite game. Like I've beaten it like twice, and it's nice to see like the characters like fully come to life. See, that one is where it's realistic, but then the characters are still pretty and the world is still aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. And still like dark and gritty. Because like the Midgar or whatever, not like it's post-apocalyptic. It is sad and terrible and like just end of the world stuff, but it's still like there's more than just like huts and mud, I guess.
And then some of the characters where, like in the previous one, I mean, they're still like small characters, but they render them so like hot in the remake, like Biggs, for example. Like, no one cared about Biggs, like in the original game. But then in the new one, Biggs is a beautiful man. And
I'm looking him up and I don't remember because I haven't played the remake. And oh yeah.
and
I see. I get it.
Now
I get it.
He's gained like a lot of fans of his own.
He should get his own spin-off.
I know, for real though. I'll play. And then speaking of which, going back to earlier, if I were to do like a podcast on any other thing, I feel like it would be fun to do like a BL review podcast.
That would be fun. I would listen to that.
Is there such thing? Like, does it exist?
I don't know, but I think you might be onto something there.
I mean, not that like I'm like looking up like so many BL, but I mean, if I were to start one, I'd like watch like a different BL every week and then like talk about it. You know.
So to those people who don't know, and actually I'm not the one to really say what it is because I don't really know either. But from what I understand, they're just like dramas that feature gay storylines.
But not just dramas, but there's also like mangas, and there's also like BL like otome games. You know, there's like
yeah. It's like it's a whole like it's not even just a genre on television, but it's like a genre for video games, literature, all sorts. And that they are generally, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, like they're mostly written by women.
Not all the time, but like the main intended audience is for women mostly.
Oh, that's it. That's what it is. Yeah. They're written for women. It's very female gaze. But yeah.
But the BL industry is like booming for some reason. Like, there's a lot of BL dramas that's coming out of like Korea, Thailand, Japan.
It's so interesting that like it's such a popular subgenre of media. But
and
then
it's so niche, you know, but I guess there's something for everyone, you know?
It's true.
It's just like how
it's true. And like
porn for everybody. No matter how weird your fetish is, there will probably be a porn for it.
There is definitely a porn. What's that rule called?
Is there a rule for that?
There's an actual like title.
I don't know.
Rule 34. It's called Rule 34. If it exists, there's a porn for it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, let's try to think of something really obscure, see if we can find a porn on it.
I really don't want to go down that hole.
Let's just think of something really obscure together. Okay, think of something really obscure. Wildly obscure.
Listen, I saw your Twitter earlier today, and
what did I tweet? I tweet a
You
lot of
tweeted like,
dumb
what
shit, I
anime?
don't-
What anime is this from? And it
Oh, I was
was
genuinely curious. And apparently that was a
well.
porn, which I didn't know.
Did you find
So
out?
so for the listeners, to give you a context, someone posted like a little like
It was a
clip of like an
Goblin
anime,
Cave.
and it's like, oh, starting my favorite anime. And then someone tagged me like, oh, Kimchi, you should review this. But then I was like reading the comment, and it doesn't say what the anime was, and all the comments were like, LOL, LOL. And a lot of people were still asking like, what anime is this? But no one was giving like a straight up answer on what the anime was.
It's Goblin Cave, by the way.
Yeah, I figured that out now. I still haven't watched it.
And if you don't know what that is, you don't have to search for it. It's fine. It's fine. You can go your whole life without knowing what this is, and you'll be okay.
Is it really smutty?
I've seen animated GIFs from it shared on Tumblr back in the day,
Mhm.
and I will say that I do not need to see the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
fine.
mean, I don't need to see it either.
Yeah.
But if I had a podcast, I probably would watch it.
That would be. I mean, I would listen.
But it's not going to happen.
I don't really think that's. I don't think that counts as boy love, though. That's just porn.
Mm. All right, never mind then. I guess you'll never get my review on Goblins. What is it called? Cave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like also as a person that consumes pop culture, that's also something that you just come across because there's a lot of jokes about it. Anyways, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we will actually maybe get on the topic of this podcast.
The topic is food. We've already been on food. Well, maybe not BL and all that, but
Okay, be right back.
And we're back.
Hi.
So something really bizarre happened to me this morning when I was cooking my breakfast.
What? You realize I wasn't
fr-
there and that you miss me so dearly.
Yes, let's make it all about you.
Yeah, okay.
You. So I was cooking my eggs for breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
and when the egg was like halfway done cooking, out of nowhere, a fly just flew into the frying pan and just died in the egg. And I'm like, is this like an omen?
Or maybe your eggs were just to die for.
But wow. Way to crack a joke about my eggs.
Oh, wow. We're really lucky
Okay.
we're not alone.
Don't feel like you're walking on eggshells with me when you crack a joke.
You're so good at those. It's
With
disturbing.
Stupid puns.
Yes.
Probably because I wear so many like themed outfits. And then when I do,
that
I
makes
just
sense.
like make like food puns like all night long in whatever outfit that I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And I've definitely done an egg theme before, so
Yeah. I do like your egg themed outfits. The ones where you start off as an egg and then you have like the chick look inside. You're always
Yeah.
doing that Chinese song, the Chinese chicken
Yeah.
song. That was a
oh my
great
god, I haven't
one.
done that in a while.
Oh my God. That was when you first, that funny thing is, when I saw you do that number for the first time, I was freaking out because like I had already known about that one. And it was like the first time that I had ever come across like a Chinese meme in real life. And it was a really great number. I think you did it in Taiwan.
I did do
Yes,
it in Taiwan.
you did do it in Taiwan. It was a good number.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just confusing the fans across the world.
So the topic of today was like overrated versus underrated, which we can talk about all sorts of stuff over and over.
Mhm.
This could be a recurring one. But did you have any thoughts? Because when you initially texted me, it was very much obviously out of anger. So
It wasn't out of
or
anger,
frustration.
But, so first, Brenzino. Fuck Brenzino. And yes, Brenzino is delicious. I mean, it's a mild whitefish.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Branzinos became so trendy that every fine dining or like every like somewhat obscure restaurant will fucking put Branzino on the menu, and they'll charge like $40-$50 for like a sliver of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, so here's like a piece of like mild white fish with some, I don't know, some pickled chilies and some like olive oil and random shit on top, you know?
I think
And I
people.
just think it's so overrated. People are acting like Branzino. Oh my god, why can I not say it? Branzino. People are acting like Branzino. It is like the best thing to like happen to like the seafood industry. And it's not. It really is not.
I agree. And though I've seen Branzino on like a lot of higher end, as the fish on a lot of higher end menus for like over like 15 years at this point. I think it's just because it is mild. It is a fish that is pretty hard to mess up when you cook. It's really hard to like fuck up a Branzino, at least when you're cooking it. And like it's mild enough that even people who don't really like fish can get down with the Branzino. And I think that's why it's so popular. And I think that's why like you see it at a lot of like fancy restaurants, because like it's always roasted, it's always grilled, it's always a place with a really good grill. They always have Branzino on the menu. If it's like a steakhouse with like wood really fire grills and stuff like that.
Any restaurant that like where the clientele is like American.
Yeah. No, it's like it's definitely really popular on new American, or at least like now high-end American restaurants. And it's always served with some kind of like root puree or something. Or like minimally processed and just like lots of charcoal and smoke. It's tasty, but it's safe. And that's why people and fish is always a risk, right? Because when you put fish on the menu, you're always already going to alienate a whole bunch of segment of people who don't know how to eat fish or don't know how to enjoy fish or just don't like fish in general. So like you're going to go for the least offensive thing ever, which is funny because like if you're going to go least offensive, just put on salmon.
Honestly, I feel like salmon was like the 90s, like fine dining, like hot fish, and then 2000 it was all about the sea bass,
or Chilean sea bass, which isn't even a bass,
and then now it's like Branzino.
And Branzino has been around for a minute, but like at this point, just serve salmon and offer to cook it to the doneness that the person likes. If I come across a place where they're like, our salmon is so fresh that we will serve it rare for you with all confidence, I'm probably going to get it. Because salmon that is slightly undercooked is delicious. When it's like, it just melts, it's a little pink in the middle. Oh my God.
I don't want a dry ass salmon, you know?
No,
I like my salmon like when it's moist.
Oh gosh, it's so good. Speaking of which, I did an experiment for the sake of like for the good of the people. I did some meal prep and I did 2 fillets of salmon from Costco, and I did some research, and Costco super freezes their salmon, which is what all the sushi restaurants that serve sushi grade, which is a myth, but sushi grade doesn't exist, but we can get to that another day. But sushi restaurants that serve fish.
I don't know if that's completely true though, because I just saw a video the other day that was like going viral. And granted, it's not bad. But it was like a video of this girl. It was like she took a video of the salmon at Costco, and there was a live worm inside of it.
Oh.
So I don't think all the salmon they sell are.
It probably depends on where as well. But if it's like, if you see like previously frozen on a fish, that's generally what that means. Like it's been super frozen and to kill the parasites.
But I wouldn't just like eat all the salmon that you get from Costco just like as a sashimi.
Oh, yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Well, I did it.
For our listeners.
And we'll find out. But yeah, I cooked most of it, but then I saw that there was that the salmon that I had bought just happened to be packaged and processed that day. And Costco will not tell you to do this outright, and that is not safe to do it outright. But if it's super frozen, it should be okay.
Did it say frozen on the packaging?
It said previously frozen, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if it does say previously frozen, by all means, eat it raw for all I care.
I mean, like you do so. You consume anything raw at your own risk, but it was really good. It was fine for me. I made a salmon tartare rice bowl for dinner that day.
Yeah.
I remember I showed it to you.
I know, but our listeners don't know that.
Yeah. It was good.
Remember, we're doing this podcast for the listeners, not us.
I know.
So if you do something that's between us, you just still have to explain.
I know. I'm just saying. Wow. Okay. So Branzino. Okay, so what do you think? Branzino is overrated. What would you say is underrated then?
Underrated? What about you?
Actually, I think it's salmon.
I feel like salmon is still like, I like salmon. I still think it's like, I wouldn't say salmon is underrated. Every restaurant serves salmon.
See,
too.
every restaurant serves salmon, but I don't think they do it in any kind of exciting way. Really?
But when you say like underrated, it means like it's not being appreciated enough, and plenty of people appreciate
but in my
salmon.
way, I think something can be popular but still be underrated if it's not like if it's just seen as like the safe choice and not like something that has the potential to be exciting.
But like no one is ever doubting salmon. Like
really,
there's no doubts about salmon.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so what's one thing that I think is underrated?
You know what I think is underrated, and I feel like so many people just hate the name of it, and they don't actually like explore like how good of an ingredient this is, and that is fish sauce.
Really?
I think fish sauce is extremely underrated, and
I mean, like maybe if you're not Asian.
Yeah, but a lot of people aren't Asian.
Yeah, but the majority of the world is.
Yes, but that's not what we're talking about. The question was, what ingredient do you think is underrated? Not what do you think is underrated among Asians? There is a life outside of us.
Yeah.
So when I used to work at the Asian restaurant, there was pad thai on the menu because it was like the safest choice. A lot of the other dishes on the menu are very experimental, and when people ask, but even then, like a lot of people didn't know what pad thai was for whatever reason, and a lot of people say like, "Oh, what's in the ingredient?" And whenever I list fish sauce, people are immediately a fish sauce. Like I don't want that. I don't want that in my pad thai. And a lot of people request pad thai without the fish sauce. And fish sauce, if you've never had it before. It's a fish extract, which I know sounds probably crazy to you, but it's salty, briny, and adds so much flavor to the dish. It doesn't make the dish fishy per se. I mean, if you use a lot of it, it will be, but just in the small amounts, it adds like all the salt and all the savoriness that it needs. If
you like anchovies, you'll like fish sauce.
And fish sauce could be into so many things. Even like when you make like a salad vinaigrette, if you put like a little fish sauce in there, like it really like amps it up. Like when you make scrambled egg, add a little fish sauce in there, like it amps it up. When you're making like even just like chicken noodle soup, try putting a little fish sauce in there. Like it'll open up a whole new world.
Yeah, that's
like fish sauce can go into so many things, and it'll really like heightened. Like, it'll take the flavors to the next level. And I think it's so underrated. It's just, I feel like it's not used enough by American audience.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree.
What about you?
I'm going to do overrated first.
Okay.
I think caviar is overrated.
Yeah. When we love caviar.
Yeah, no, that doesn't say I don't love caviar, but I think like, you know, I definitely don't think, I think it's not just overrated, but it's also like overvalued for what it is. It's not
Yes.
even my favorite type of fish egg.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Agreed.
Ikura supremacy, always.
Salmon egg.
Salmon eggs, yeah. And like the fact that the caviar is so limited in how you can enjoy it. I mean, like the most recent way that I enjoy caviar is like I like to replace soy sauce with it in my sushi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the most interesting way that I've ever eaten caviar, because every other way is like traditional way of enjoying it because it's so expensive.
Yeah. Do you ever watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
No.
And one of the seasons.
But I know what it's about, I guess.
Hipster. Well, there's a scene where two ladies are having lunch and they're having like baked potato for lunch, and she has baked potato into her caviar. Kathy Hilton. That's what it is. I was like, that's what rich people do.
I mean,
some caviar with potato.
Like if I, that sounds, see, caviar needs to be just less expensive so that it can be done. So you can do stuff like if you put mix caviar into the sour cream and then put that on a baked potato with chives and stuff. That sounds delicious.
It's over for you bitches. Like,
that sounds so good. But because you have to pay all this money by the ounce, like you wouldn't dare do that because that would be technically like a waste of money. But that's also like the kind of stuff that we do in restaurants. Even though most of us don't make any money whatsoever, things that we do, like one thing that we do is cater for a lot of obscenely rich people who do things like order kilos of caviar and have it left over and just give it to us to like eat literally as scraps. But it's worth it because what we're doing with that caviar is exactly that. Like I remember, like another thing that I don't necessarily know if I think foie gras is overrated, but it is one of those, like, I think is really expensive as an ingredient. But I got one time when we got like, I think 2 or 3 lobes, like they're like pounds of whole foie gras left over from a party that somebody else threw. And I just kept them in my freezer. And one night we came home, me, Alejandro, and Lil John, we came home one night and I was super, super drunk and I just made like ramen with it. And we pan-seared the foie gras and then we used the foie gras butter as like a little oil topping on top of the ramen. And it was just like plain ginger and chicken instant noodles with like foie gras. And it was so good. Oh my God.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these like fine dining ingredients have been, it's kind of like diamond where the actual value isn't anything.
Yeah,
but
diamonds are so common.
But because through like marketing and like supply, like limiting the supply, it just becomes more expensive than like what it actually is.
Yeah.
I also think, and okay, this is not an expensive ingredient, but I think frisee is such an overrated ingredient. And let me explain why.
It's a bitter leaf.
It's a bitter leaf. And I genuinely believe that people add frisee to the menu half the time because frisee sounds fancy. I genuinely believe this.
Frisee is literally like glitter for a menu. It's like just looks pretty.
Yeah, it is pretty because it's like leafy and it's like leggy
and spindly. Yeah,
it's
dramatic
easy to, like,
looking.
Make anything dish like aesthetically pleasing, but the actual taste of it is very bitter. And I don't mind bitter greens, but the flavor, like frisee in particular, is just like not like an enjoyable bitter. Like endive is bitter, but like I enjoy endive.
I was about to say the same thing about endive as well, or endive. I don't really care. I don't care for bitter all that much as far as like a flavor profile, especially if it's super dominant. So like frisee, endive, I'm not the biggest fan of it.
At least like endive, like the way it's shaped, it makes it an easy vessel to like make little canapes or whatever.
Yeah, I do. You can use them as a scoop.
But yeah, I think frisee, I feel like I've never eaten a frisee and felt like this really needed to be in there. You know?
Yeah.
Aside from like aesthetic purposes, I've had like frisee like tossed in salad as garnish, like frisee salad. There's not been a single time where I think like that frisee, I gotta get that frisee again.
That's fair. So frisee is overrated for you.
Mhm.
Underrated then for me. Something that's underrated. I'm like looking around my office. Not that there's anything around here. Luncheon meat.
Luncheon meat?
Luncheon meat like Spam.
Like overrated?
Underrated.
Oh, underrated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. People
Oh,
think,
yeah.
well, first of all, it's not cheap. People think it's like this
not.
cheap thing where it's like, but no, nothing in a can anymore, first of all, is cheap. And yeah, Spam hasn't been cheap for a minute, considering what it is. Like, there is a reason why, like, you're stretching a can for a couple of meals. And when you cook it right, it's so good. But like literally any Asian person who grew up as a child will tell you that, because it's great in fried rice, it's great in sandwiches. Yeah. But yeah, as far as if we're talking about like whether or not things have an appreciation here in the United States, Spam, luncheon meat is like, I think, the generic name for it. But I think that also counts like canned corned beef and stuff like that too, which is also good. Yeah, that's super underrated, but at the same time, like, already really expensive.
When you go to Hawaii, they keep like Spam locked.
Yeah, I would too,
like
because they
behind the
have so
counter.
many kinds. And also, like, I'm hoping nobody like is vacationing there right
Oh
now.
yeah.
As a
So
little
sad what happened to
PSA.
Maui.
It totally, yeah. And the fact that people are still going there for vacations and like taking up resources and space is disgusting.
Well, not only fucked up, and not only that, but all these like corporates are like calling like the local thing like, hey, do you want to sell your land?
That is so fucked. Oh my God.
Like to people that just like lost their loved ones and like home.
Yeah.
Well, let's not spiral.
Okay. We said we wouldn't spiral. We said we wouldn't spiral. Just don't vacation in
Don't go to
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Please donate to like Maui Relief Fund. There's so many you can easily find.
And like have a heart. Seriously, like have a heart. Like people who okay, we're not gonna spiral. We're not gonna spiral. Overrated, underrated.
Okay, I think truffle oil is extremely overrated.
Oh yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about this in like another podcast too. So I don't have to like get into like the depths of it, but yeah, the truffle oil, like using like a small amount, I think it's great. I just hate like this culture of like
Putting it on
drizzle something with
fries.
truffle oil and charge like $10 more for it.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could probably just like sneak in like a bottle of truffle oil if you like truffle oils that much, or truffle
I
fries
like
that much.
truffle mayonnaise though.
Yeah.
And truffle butter. I mean, they do make truffle butter, but and also Nicki Minaj. But truffles themselves, I think, are as good. They just make stuff so delicious. But truffle oil just is so cheap in comparison. That's just not really.
And even then, it's like kind of become a show where you go to a restaurant and you pay $50 more, and then they shave like truffles on top of your food.
I never
But
really
then,
like. Whenever they do that, it doesn't really add to the experience.
It doesn't add to it. It's just more of like the showiness of it all.
Yeah, it's like gold flake.
And what else I think is overrated is ramen culture in America.
You know what? I don't really go out to eat in ramen shops when I'm here. Why? What are they like?
When you're here in America, you live in America.
I know, no. But like I have in the States. I think the last time I ate at a ramen shop, I was in like Hong Kong many years ago.
I feel like nowadays, like a standard, it's like $25.
Whoa, that's a lot of money.
And each country has like their noodle dish, but Japanese cuisine almost, got like lucky in a way where it's somehow regarded as like the highest form of Asian cuisine by Americans.
Uh-huh.
You'll see so many like Japanese restaurants, that's like easily considered fine dining, even when it's like not.
Mm-hmm.
But while like Chinese restaurants and Korean restaurants, like they really have to like go above and beyond in terms of like the decor and like their presentation, like to even be considered fine dining.
I see what you mean. I now I fully understand what you're talking about in here. When you
And
say
same
like
with like ramen, how like ramen is just like easily considered like almost like the highest form of like an Asian noodle dish.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
While like like a Chinese like beef noodle takes just as long to make,
Yeah.
and flavor is just as complex. But if you charge like $20 to $25 for that, like everyone will be scoffing about like how expensive and overpriced it is.
Yeah.
Same with like Korean like naengmyeon or bibimbap. Or
So on that, I would say turn off your Discord notifications, by the way.
oh, can you hear it?
Yeah.
Sorry. There you go.
Okay. So on that note, I would say that in the United States, pho is totally underrated.
Completely.
It is
It's
so
become, like,
much
a cheap
harder to
food.
make than ramen.
Mhm.
It's so much harder to make than ramen is.
A good clean broth, I feel, is like harder than like a murky broth. Like a bone broth.
So difficult, so time consuming, and like just their use of spices and the concentrate of meat. The fact that like they add like uncooked beef onto the top and let the soup cook. Like it's so good.
And like
I
the
can
beef-
have
beef
pho in
fresh,
the summer. I
just
can't
order.
have tonkatsu ramen in the summer.
Yeah, and also tonkatsu ramen is like once in a while kind of food for me because it is so rich and so fatty.
Or your feet gonna swell.
Yeah, for sure. And then also like after you eat it, you just feel very like bloated. While pho, I could probably eat it every day.
Yeah. One thing though, I will say that people need to start like just being okay with is like when you go out to eat, if you're going out to eat ramen and stuff, it's okay not to finish the soup. You can just eat the noodles and the toppings and stuff like that. But that is like a full ass bowl of like 800% of your daily requirement of salt. So like it's fine if you can just enjoy it. You don't have to finish the soup. It's totally fine. I think people
Unless
who
you're
eat
super
ramen a
hungry and
lot
you just really like
don't.
it.
Right. You can like enjoy it, but like if you're eating ramen every time and finishing that bowl of broth every time, like you that's not safe. Unless you're eating ramen like once every year or something like that. Like it's not good for you.
Yeah. Also, when I go to like ramen shops, I prefer like a shoyu ramen over like tonkatsu.
Mm. Oh, I like the one that you took me to, but it wasn't technically ramen. It was sukemen.
Sukemen is also really good.
Sukemen is really good.
It's probably like, I think we like it because it's so pungent.
Yeah, it hits. Like it literally hits.
Like I want to feel alive. I want to experience the flavor down to my bone.
So
like, I want the flavor to be like chilling.
Yeah. So sukemen, if you don't know, it's basically like the ramen noodles.
Ramen?
Yes, served separately from the broth, but the broth is super hyper concentrated, so you wouldn't drink it anyway because it's just too flavorful, too salty. So what you do is you take the noodles out of the noodle bowl and then you dip it into the sukemen, the broth, and then you just slurp that up real quick. And it is delightful. It is smokier, depending on the recipe and stuff like that. But
and
ours was like
are usually
smokier.
thicker and bouncier.
Yes, because they're not sitting in the hot soup, overcooking. So like you always get your noodles are always perfect. It's so good.
And then the broth will probably have like a really good egg, like a jammy egg, and some like melt in your mouth chashu.
Oh, one thing I think is underrated, as far as like putting things in broths and noodle soups, is hard boiled eggs. Everybody always wants like the jammy yolk and stuff like that. But I think there's something to like, if your hard boiled egg, first of all, has to still be cooked perfectly where it's like no green in the yolk, which means like you've overcooked your hard boiled egg and that there's the sulfur in there is literally starting to react with the yolk. That's why it's green, and that means it's overcooked. But if you have a perfectly made hard-boiled egg where the yolk is cooked through and is like nice and chalky, and you break that down into the soup and you mix it into the soup, kind of like adding powdered egg to your broth, it's really enjoyable. I like how rich it makes things feel. So yeah, don't discount hard-boiled eggs in your noodle soups.
Speaking of ramen noodles, I was just watching a video on K-pop stars, like celebrity ramen recipes, and there's one recipe I saw in particular that looked really, really, really good that I want to try. I guess it's made popular by NCT's Chenle. I think that's how you pronounce his name. So you boil water, and then you chop up tomatoes, and you put it in the water.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then you crush the tomatoes like inside the water, and you bring it to a boil. And then you add the seasoning packet and the ramen noodles. And then you boil that until the noodles are a little al dente. And you beat an egg, and you scramble the egg into the broth.
Okay.
And it's like super like tomatoey, eggy ramen.
Ooh.
Oh, and then you also add a spoonful of lao gamma in there too.
Oh, nice. That sounds amazing. I love lao ganma and tomato.
And supposedly it's like really, really good. And it sounds right up my alley.
You should try it.
I will.
Make a video.
When I'm not on a diet.
Fair. Also, since we're talking about ramen, I have my latest YouTube episode is a ramen video. So if you want to see a couple of ways that I gussy up some ramen, this was totally unplanned, but since we're talking about it anyways, I might as well plug my shit. Go to YouTube. At John Kung on YouTube. You can see a couple of ways to do some ramen hacks.
And then if you want to watch something really fun, go to his videos and click oldest. And then just watch all of his old videos.
No, don't do that. That's so mean. Why would you do that? No.
You got to see like how like you got to where you are today.
No, if you've never seen my stuff, don't start with the early stuff. That's not what you do.
And then you're going to watch them all, right?
Nobody wants to watch One Piece as their first anime. Well, not anymore. That's too much. It's too far. It's fine. It's fine. Just watch the one I posted on Sunday.
Also, if you have a question, feel free to head over to our podcast Instagram, One for the Table. That's number 1. And then For the Table on Instagram, and send us your questions. All right. That's our podcast for the week.
If you like what you hear, like and subscribe and leave a comment, because those help too. And if you how does the rest of it go?
We do this every week.
I know.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in. See you next week. Bye-bye.